And I'm doing that now. Give me a 15 seconds here. There we go. And I'm doing that now. There we go. Okay, Mr. Hoffman, well, are we going to do this in the form of, well, let's swear him in, and then we'll decide how we want to do this. Mr. Hoffman, can you please raise your right hand so you can be sworn in by the clerk? Well, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the evidence and testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. You want to do question and answer and your witness, Mr. Nguyen, and that way we can do it in that form or fashion, because I think the last time, if I recall, if there are any issues the court wanted to be made aware, I will tell you that Mr. Diaz had made a point of telling to the court that there was hindrance tactics at play, you know, and so I advised them that at that time that I wanted to be able to see if in fact that was happening, where it was happening, and not some general statement by the attorneys, that I actually wanted some evidence before I made determinations on that. So I'll just let you proceed with that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hoffman, out of the two items that the judge is asking for, the planes and the bonded items, I believe that the planes are the bigger items. What is the status of moving the planes, and what hindrances have you encountered?
Yes, let me go back a little bit, Your Honor. When we signed that voluntarily,
I can't hear a word he's saying.
I'm sorry. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, but
Hello?
Joanne, I'm on the bench.
Yes, sir, I understand. The district clerk is in the waiting room.
Oh, shoot. Hold on a second, everyone. The district clerks.
I'm gonna go take a picture of something that's.
Janelle? Sorry about that. Okay. Can we do a sound check for Mr. Hoffman again?
Sir, can you speak, Mr. Hoffman?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yes.
Thank you.
Question.
When we signed that voluntarily, going out from the premises, Your Honor, we presented a schedule in order for us to go out, thinking that we were going to have the support of the city and the airport. They never argue about our exit plan, so we said, okay, we're going to have enough time to do it. To our surprise, they came out and said you have 15 days to go out after the fact. Anyway, to make a story short, we've tried to go besides going out of all the regular merchandise, the domestic merchandise and cars and boats and personal equipment, we started to move the bonded merchandise, and to our surprise, without them notifying us, we tried to withdraw 4 big lots that we had customer for. And when the customer tried to do the paperwork to have it put in his bond, he noticed that the city had deactivated us from the FTC. So now it's like we cannot bring in anything or take out anything because we are deactivated by them. The same thing happened with the airplanes, Your Honor. We're trying to move them out and to put them on the ramp, but they removed our privileges, our card that we had and we paid for 2 weeks before all this thing. So now we cannot move them in order to to start fixing, working, and even though we presented the weights of each and every single airplane for them to start charging us ramp fees according to the regulation. So it's not that we don't want to go out. It's something that they've made it very difficult. They're obstaculizing us from going out. I do not understand. They want for us to leave, but at the same time they're putting barriers for us to leave.
Any other questions, Mr. Min?
Mr. Hoffman, so what would you need in order to move the bonded equipment? Because we started talking about the bonded equipment.
For them to reactivate us on the foreign trade zone, so I can make the paperwork to take out all the merchandise, and for them to activate our ramp card, which we paid for, in order for us to move the airplanes. I mean, this is something that they can do very easily, and they're just putting obstacles. We've made all they're going the long way in order for us to reopen another FTZ, which we already presented all the documents to customs and to the board of the FTZ. But it's like starting from scratch when it's so easy for them to activate us, and we can move that merchandise to other entities as soon as we are activated.
And just to anticipate,
FTZ payments have been done and collected, and we're up to date with that. So there is no excuse for them not to activate us and to move dynamically into moving out the FTZ merchandise, the bonded merchandise.
and sir, just to anticipate, this request is you're not just trying to keep operating and making money at the airport. You're trying to comply with are you trying to comply with the court's direction to remove the bonded equipment and planes?
For the last 3 months, we haven't done anything but comply with the requirements, with what the court has requested and the airport has requested from us. And they have a police car, watching us from 9 to 4 when our labor times are 8 to 5, and probably on Saturdays. The policeman that is down there, I don't know why he's watching us, because we're moving the merchandise that belongs to us. We cannot move the buildings. I mean, it's costing the city a lot of money to have a police car down there watching us for nothing. I mean, I cannot understand anything that they're doing.
Sir, without the FTC and the ramps opening, what is your alternative if those avenues are not opened by the city? How do you move the planes and bonded items?
There is no alternative, because if the zone is deactivated, I cannot put anything in or anything out. That's it. I cannot do anything. I'd say the merchandise is going to stay down there, and nobody can do anything except customs. On the second question on the airplanes, there is nothing I can do. I cannot take them, to the front gate because I'll go to the street. I mean, I cannot put the airplanes on the street, so I have to go to the ramp.
And
so there's nothing I can do.
Is your testimony that the ramp fees and FTC zone fees have been paid by you and are up to date?
The FTC fees have been paid and are up to date. And the ramp fees, there is no ramp fees because we don't have anything parked on the ramp yet. But our permit was paid, and instead of having a duration of 1 year, it was for one week. And no money has been refunded to us.
Okay. I'm gonna pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Henry?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hoffman, you said that your customer told you of a deactivation, and there's a couple things I want to ask you about with that. who actually owns the merchandise that's in the FTZ zone?
It's me.
You own all the merchandise?
I own that merchandise. Yes, sir.
Is it in your name or one of your company's names?
It's in the company's name,
Okay, which company?
Orion.
Orion, okay.
I'm sorry, American Air. That merchandise is under American Air Freight.
American Air Freight, okay. And did you see any deactivation paperwork from the FTC board?
No, what I saw is the paperwork that I submitted to our attorneys, where it shows when the custom broker representing my customer wanted to withdraw, put it on his bond to transfer the merchandise from us to him. The system gave him a deactivation. So I have the paperwork from the screen from the U.S. Customs, system that says deactivated.
All right, are you familiar with the requirement that they can't deactivate a zone if FTC merchandise remains on the property?
No, I do not know, but
Okay.
if you access the system will show you the activation.
All right. And now, have you moved any of the FTZ property off of the airport property?
I cannot.
Okay.
I cannot.
So all the ones you had are already still there, right?
Yes, it's exactly the same
Okay.
way we had it.
Can I ask just a quick, I want to make sure, we're talking about the FTZ zone at the disputed property, right? And not the new one? Or the
Yes,
one
sir.
across the street? Yes, okay.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Hoffman, you paid the outstanding FTC annual fee this week, did you not?
I did.
All right.
Well,
did
actually last week.
Last week?
Last week I sent the check to them because as per their instructions, they requested from us not to take it personally. We were taking the payments personally every month. They requested from us to send it by mail.
Okay. All right. So, with regard to the airplanes, have you contacted any of the FBOs at the airport in order to see about locations there in order to make repairs on any planes?
Yes, I did. And there is no space for 10 airplanes.
Is there space for 3 airplanes?
Nope.
Who did you contact?
Lavata Services and Robert. And as a matter of fact, he told me that we could even bring it close to the ramp down there because they were putting concrete on this outside ramp and he didn't have any space yet. And ¿cómo se llama el otro? El grande? Signature.
Okay. Are those warehouse tenants or are those fixed base operators?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that question. They're FBOs.
They're FBOs?
Yeah.
That's your understanding?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you contact anybody else at the airport for storage or repair location for the planes?
We called a couple of times Elsie Borgstead. My son did, and she was always out of reach. And I tried to call Mr. Jeffrey Miller, and Mr. Miller refused to talk to me, said that I had to do everything through the attorneys.
That they work with the city though, right? They're city employees?
Well, they're airport employees, I guess.
Okay. No, I'm talking about
Like that, they're
anybody,
city employees.
any other warehouse, any other people or companies at the airport that are renting warehouses. Have you contacted any of them or any other FBOs?
No, because the hangar space in the airport is very limited. As a matter of fact, there is a shortage of space, of hangar space at the airport.
Well, they're having some construction at the airport, are they not?
they have construction at the airport on the ramp, but not hangar space.
Okay.
And in order to work on the airplanes, you need hangar space. We can do whatever we have to do if needed on the ramp. If they provide us the permit to go into the ramp and put a small truck as a tool shed in order to be working down there, which has been approved previously to other people not long ago. As a matter of fact, like 3-4 months ago, they allowed it to be able to dismantle the DC-3 that it's in front of my hangars, of my space, of lot 5 and lot 4.
So what repairs need to occur for each of the planes?
Basically, we have to bring down both engines and service them, put them back. Before putting them back is test them on our test cell for them to give the power and be able to prove that they're going to have the power required for takeoff, and do a gear retraction and check radios and communication equipment. That'll be the fastest and easiest way for us to do it. And then the big maintenance, which interprets as a chapter 5, which is a long maintenance, we can do it someplace else. But in order for us to take those airplanes out, we need to to take off and be sure that the airplane is going to be on a ferry permit, safely flown to another place, which would be the new owner's place.
Okay, so and that's what's required for all 10 planes?
To begin with 3 airplanes.
With 3 airplanes.
3 airplanes that
so
they're
let's talk
spoken for.
Okay, so which 3 airplanes need those particular repairs?
3 Saberliners, North American 265s.
Okay. Do you remember the tail numbers?
No,
For each of those?
I sure don't. I have 10 or 11 airplanes in there. I don't remember the tail. I can tell you for sure the first one is Tango Delta X-ray.
Okay. Now, those are all registered in Mexico, is that correct?
Yes, all of them are registered XAs.
Have you contacted anyone to actually transport the planes by truck?
In order to transport the airplanes by truck, you have to dismantle the airplane, take the wing off and the engines off.
Okay, but my question was, did you contact anyone about transporting them by truck?
No, not yet.
That's an option you could do, though, couldn't you?
Yes, but then anyway, we need the time to bring down the engines and the wing and put it
Okay,
on a special stand on 2 lowboys. Yes, everything can be done. We've done it before.
Okay, all right. All right, so how long do you need to repair the 3 planes that you talked about?
As I stated on my request, on my exit plan, I think it was at least 120 days, provided that they allow us to work on each airplane. 120 days per airplane.
Per airplane?
No, it was. I think it was 90 days per airplane. Yeah, to take a wing of an airplane and to put it on stands and to take the engines from the same airplane and put it on stands is not an easy task.
Okay, so what about the other 7 planes?
Well, the other 7 planes, right now, we don't have to do any maintenance on them. We have to move them out and then work with them either to fly them out from the ramp or to take the wings off and take them out from the airport.
Okay, so
3 airplanes are the ones that are spoken for.
Out of the 7 planes, can any of them fly?
Potentially, yes, of course.
Okay. And have you attempted to move any of them?
Where to?
Off the
Where can I
airport.
move them? If the if the gate to the ramp is locked, I mean I cannot move them. I mean I'll have to convert them into helicopters to be able to move them. It's impossible. I have to move them to the ramp.
Did you tell the city which 7 planes are flight worthy so that you could get them on the air, runway in order to take off?
Yes, but we'll have to work on that. We have to do exactly the same thing to those 7, the same thing that we're doing to the first 3.
Well, see, that's what I'm getting at. What needs to be done to those 7 so that they can be flown off the airport?
The same thing that we do to the first 3. Do inspection on engines, power checkup, lift them on jacks, recycle the landing gear in order to check that the landing gear is operating, check radios and communication equipment, make a power check on the engines and take off.
Right, but
That's the minimum.
those,
That's the minimum that we can do on each airplane.
okay, but what I'm trying to get at is that a repair or is that just doing the checks necessary in order to start them up and fly them out?
That's the minimum that we have to do in order, not even to get them airworthy, in order to have them ferry out.
Okay, and how long does that take?
One
you to
time
do per
only.
plane?
I mean, if we do this procedure, we can ferry them out on a single flight to any place we want. But it's on a single flight. We cannot keep up operating them like this. We have to do the extensive maintenance.
All right, so for these 7, how long would it take you to fly each of them out of the airport?
What I said before, 90 days.
Each?
Yes.
Okay. And how extensive are the repairs that you're talking about for the first 3?
What we're doing is exactly the same thing for the 3 that to the 7. We're doing the minimum for them to take them off, for them to be able to take off and leave. Whatever it's easier, but we have to check engines, that's what we're doing right now. But then we cannot crank them up. We have to go to the ramp to be able to put them to recycle the landing gear.
Okay.
What we're doing to the first 3 is the same thing that we're doing we will have to do to the last 7. It's the minimum that we have to do in order to ferry them out.
Okay. All right, pass the witness.
Mr. Henry, Mr. Hoffman, what is the most efficient way for you to move these planes and bonded items?
Well, this is the most efficient way. I mean, it's in order to work on the airplane, we need air, we need hydraulic, we need a power plant, and I don't think the ramp will have all this for us to be able to perform. I mean, you need substantial backup, as like I'm telling you, air and electricity to an hydraulic power to be able to do all this. If they allow us to take them to the ramp together with a truck where we can put a power generator that will activate an hydraulic pump plus the jacks, we could do it at the ramp. I mean, I'm not trying to force anybody. I'm trying to solve this thing from the very beginning. The same thing with the FTC, but it's like by doing what they're doing, they're shooting themselves in the foot, because it's provoking us from not being able to move forward.
So, sir, if you receive the access to the ramp and the FTZ activation, or I know there's issues about whether it was deactivated or not, but just the ability to utilize the FTC license that you had paid. What is your testimony to the court as far as your timeline to remove the bonded items and the planes?
Well, the bonded items probably will take us probably 30 to 45 days. We'll start moving right away. We'll do the paperwork and move the items that they're worthwhile moving. There are some items that they're not going to be able to, they're not worth it to be moved. So we'll apply with U.S. Customs for destruction, and we'll destroy it, and we'll move the items that they're worthwhile moving right away. But we cannot do anything. Whatever we do, the system will reject it because it's deactivated.
What about the planes? To remove all of them?
Planes, well, right now we're moving whatever the court ordered us to move. The planes, if they allow us to work on the airplanes, we'll continue working on the airplanes and be able to move them as soon as possible.
Is it within 90 days?
For each one, yes.
Okay. How many can you?
At least for the first three, so we can move them out because they're spoken for, and the other 6 or 7 that they're there, we're going to put them on the ramp. There is only one that I must put that airplane on a hangar because it's a King Air, which is over $1 million airplane, and I don't want to leave it under the sun.
Okay. I pass the witness, Judge.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Is there any other witnesses, Mr. Nguyen?
No, Judge.
Mr. Henry, do you have anyone?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Jeff Miller to the stand briefly.
Okay. Your Honor, hi, Jeff Miller, Henry.
Can he be sworn in by someone, Your Honor?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Mr. Miller, just real quickly, give us your full name and job title.
Jeffrey James Miller, Airport Director, City of Laredo.
All right. So has the FTC, we were referring to it as an FTC zone that's at 5513 Thomas Avenue. That's actually a use-driven site, is it not?
Yes.
All right. Has it been deactivated as part of the FTC zone of the city?
No, it
Sorry.
has not.
No.
No,
Okay.
no, it has not.
Can it be at this time deactivated?
No,
Why not?
because there's currently still merchandise within the facility.
Okay. So who actually deactivates the zone or a site?
So the FTC board is obviously, the main component here. The city is managing it through the airport manages for the entire city, but the FTC board would be the one that the Wolf Hoffman in this case would work with.
Okay. So do you have any idea why Mr. Hoffman is saying that when he attempts to log on, he's getting a deactivation screen?
No. From the conversations that we've had to try to facilitate the moving of Mr. Hoffman's material, CBP has referred to us many times that they've been waiting for Mr. Hoffman to make contact with him regarding his FTZ, but there has been no restrictions placed on it from what we've been told.
All right. When you say CBP, are you talking about Customs and Border Patrol?
Yes, Customs and Border Protection, yes.
Okay, just to make sure we're
Yes.
everyone knows the acronyms.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So when Mr. Hoffman was talking about putting something on the bond, can you explain that to the court?
So putting something on the bond, I'll be honest, I kind of got a little confused with that statement, but from the conversations that we've had with Customs and Border Protection, he really just needs to go and provide an address for transfer to CBP and to start what he needs to do. So, as far as we know and the contact we've made, the process could be simple and easy.
When you say transport to CBP, what is entailed in that? What does that mean?
So it's provide address of transfer to CBP. So where they're looking to activate, whether that's, I think they go into another foreign or another operator within the foreign trade zone.
Okay, to an existing zone.
Yes, to an existing zone. So
Another FTZ operator?
yes, correct. There are multiple throughout the city.
Okay. And does that involve the city at all?
No,
So that can be done without the city saying yay or nay?
correct.
But if you're going to create a new site or a new zone, does that involve the city?
There is a permitting process that goes with FTZ. I believe it's around a $2,500 application fee. And I believe, and I will also defer a little bit of this to Ms. Borchstead because that's more in her expertise, but that we would start the process, but the FTZ would be the ones that would do the approval process for that actual new zone or new operator within the FTZ.
Okay. And have you received an actual application from Mr. Hoffman or any of his companies for a new site or a zone-to-zone transfer or anything regarding his bond?
No.
Okay. With regard to the airplanes, can you explain very, very fast to the court what an FBO is?
Yeah, fixed base operator, I like to say it's a glorified gas station. They sell fuel, ice, newspapers, they handle aircraft. Our FBOs, their main focus is not maintenance. That's not their main focus. But they're basically there to cater to aircraft that come and go from the airport.
Okay. Now, right now, the city has construction and other things going on the different ramps and runways, does it not?
Absolutely, yes, we do. We're rehabbing a good portion of the ramp.
Okay, so how much available ramp space is there right now for just parking?
So, you know, as far as cubic feet, at the top of my head, I wouldn't know that, but we have ample parking space for operations that are coming and going. But the ramp space itself, the intention of the ramp space is for active aircraft, so coming and going. We do have maintenance that happens, but that's either something breaks, you know, not their mechanical equipment, so things break. So we do allow that. Some of the aircraft that were referenced before, like the DC-3, those are aircraft that the city unfortunately has to work through the process to gain possession of because they've been derelict aircraft. So at that point, we really have no option but to allow for those aircraft to be removed off the airfield.
Well, you're not talking about Hoffman's now, you're talking generally?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay. So with regard to the three aircraft Mr. Hoffman, well, actually all 10, has the city in the past, I'll say since December of 2020, been asking Mr. Hoffman for what repairs are needed for those planes?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Why are you asking him what kind of repairs are needed for those planes?
So it goes back to kind of my last statement. You know, the ramp is intended for active aircraft. You know, when we do have these situations that come up where we do have to provide maintenance out there, we try to make it as expeditious as possible. With the original plan, we did include a parking area, but part of the process through that was to find out what the aircraft needed to get fixed. And, you know, really to avoid what we heard today, this is some more of the concrete numbers that we've seen, but I would have major concerns with, from the numbers that I've been running, about 2.5 to 3 years that these aircraft would be on the ramp. And also too, the majority of the maintenance that's been going on, if it happens out there, is something quick to keep the aircraft moving. But we're talking major overall equipment, we're talking major coordination. That's something that for the city that we wanted to understand, and that's a larger complex issue that.
Okay, prior to today, has Mr. Hoffman ever responded to you with regard to what kind of repairs were needed for each plane?
No.
All right. So have you denied him access to the ramp in total at all?
We have not. We've referred him to one of the existing tenants to gain access to the airport, whether that would be, as mentioned, Barker or Motive or Signature Flight Support. That would be something between those two entities. But if it involved the ramp, if we had an aircraft parking positions on the ramp, that's something that myself and the city would be interested in. But as far as access to the airfield, that's something that Mr. Hoffman could work through with those entities.
Okay. So just very quickly, because I know the judge has another engagement. So I'm going to ask you some leading questions and let's see if Mr. Zone objects. The city's not going to have a problem if the repairs are giving him access to the ramp if the repairs are minor and not disruptive to the ramp. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If the repairs are major and can be disruptive to the operation of the ramp, the city would have an objection to that.
Yes.
Okay. The repairs that Mr. Hoffman described, are they major or minor?
They sound major.
All right.
Ruben,
Pass the witness.
Ruben,
Sure. Sorry, real briefly. It was your direction to have the police observe Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay, and what is your concern to have the police observe him every day?
Sure, absolutely. So, the facility over there, obviously something that the airport now is going to undertake. So maintaining that and also ensuring that everything that we're doing within the court proceedings are actually taking place, that merchandise is actively being moved out. So it's a control measure that I wanted in place.
Is there supposed to be I'm sorry, are there supposed to be any interactions between the police and Mr. Hoffman's staff? Or is it
Just
just
opening the
observe?
Just
Okay.
opening the gate is what has been my instructions.
Okay. And as you just stated there at the end, that these repairs seem to be major, but is your understanding that these repairs are necessary in order to remove these airplanes?
In order to fly them out, yes, they would be needed.
Okay. Would Mr. Hoffman and his staff need to ask or seek any permissions or from the city in order to perform these repairs?
So if it depends on the location, if
Okay.
he could do it within, one of the fixed base operators, that would be between fixed base operator.
Okay. But as far as on the property that in question, are you prohibiting him from making these repairs there or
Currently,
yes?
yes, I think that was part of the court order.
Okay. So again, just to get to the chase, you heard Mr. Hoffman talk about what's the most efficient way to remove the bonded items and the planes. Do you have a disagreement with what he says as far as the most efficient way?
Yes, I think on both.
Okay. And what is your objection?
Well, I think the most efficient way to remove the aircraft in the current state they are in is to truck them out. And then I believe the most efficient way to remove the FTZ merchandise would be for him to work with another FTZ operator that's currently approved.
And let's take the planes real quickly. As far as trucking them out, I see what you're saying. As far as efficiency, you're talking about time efficiency, right?
Well, time efficiency and also, potential funds. We did get a quote. I want to say it was around $140,000 to $140,000 to remove those aircraft from the airport. So I think at the value of the aircraft, that from what I can see, that's also probably also a potential savings on his part as well.
And that quote, where did you get that quote from?
We received it. Mr. Henry has it as well, so it's something that can be provided. But Mr. Henry, I don't recall the name of the company off the top of my head, but we do have it on file.
Okay, and that quote's that's someone who can actually do that work, or is that just someone who just gave you an estimate of?
No, they do that work.
It would be.
They've done that work for us in the past.
Okay, right. And is the city offering any assistance in the move as far as help or finances?
No.
Okay, that's what I figured. Okay, all right. And there was notice to Mr. Hoffman regarding the FTC license, right? It's not renewed, obviously, right? But your testimony here is that it has not been deactivated and he can operate under FTC.
Correct.
Okay, so if he's able to operate under the FTC and you heard his testimony, then he should be able to move these bonded items within 30 to 45 days, right?
I believe
you don't disagree with that. I'm saying.
No, I don't disagree with that, but I believe the time frame for moving is actually quicker than 30 days. If moving into another FTZ, I think all they really need is the address, is what needs to be provided.
And the airplanes, as you stated, they can be repaired and flown out, but those are major repairs. Trucking would be the alternative, and that's about 140,000.
Correct.
Okay, I pass the witness, Judge.
Just very brief redirect, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, just give me 10 seconds. I gotta unlock my door.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, about 10 minutes. Yes. Okay, you may proceed.
Mr. Miller, when you said that all that he needs to move the FTC merchandise is a location, just to make sure we're talking about the same thing, your earlier testimony was a location that is to another FTZ operator.
Correct. Yes. FTZ operator. Correct.
Okay, not moving it to some place that isn't an FTZ zone.
Correct. Yes. Correct.
No further questions.
Okay,
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
okay. Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Zone, I mean, regarding the bonded merchandise, one of the things we covered 2 weeks ago, and I was pretty clear on this, was that you and your attorney had alleged that the city had been interfering with your ability to move. And we did cover, and the court remembers that what you had ideally wanted was to create a new free trade zone, which they were not willing to do. And the court did not have the authority to force them to do that. So this option about finding another free trade zone area has basically been in play for several weeks now. And I know you're telling me that your FTZ was deactivated, but one of the things I made very clear is that I wanted to see proof that the city was actually taking steps or doing actions to hinder your ability to move the bonded merchandise. And I've heard nothing that today that convinced me that they're doing anything like that. So in relation to the, and I am going to give you some time, but not the time frame you're thinking. Regarding the bonded material, it's going to be the court's ruling that you're going to have until really the to the end of the month, which is 3 weeks from today, for all practical purposes, because Monday's the 31st, but really it's the 28th.
This is holiday, right, Judge?
Well, is
The
it?
31st is a Memorial Day.
Well, which is why I said, well,
Right.
because it's a Monday, and I don't know that we've covered the, I don't know whether the free trade zone works on weekends or how that, I don't see why they wouldn't, but I mean, I'll say to the end of the month to get that bonded material out. If not, the city is going to be allowed to put it in, I forget what they called it, some kind of warehouse
Yes, sir.
warehouse where it possibly can be destroyed. So
I believe that would create more expenses too, by all means. So Mr. Hoffman wants to move
yeah,
these
but
items.
I know he wants to move them, but this, I mean, haven't seen anything that tells me the city's been preventing him from doing that. It's too late, Mr. Hoffman. And this is stuff that I made very clear 2 weeks ago, that I didn't want to just hear allegations. I wanted you to establish that they were actually, and even if for whatever reason that's denied, it does not appear that the defendant, City of Laredo in this case, is actively prohibiting Mr. Hoffman from moving the merchandise. So you have until the end of the month. Now, the planes are a little bit trickier, I understand, but Mr. Hoffman, 3 months, you don't have that kind of time. And there is no guarantee that you're even going to be able to repair all the planes. And we're going to be right back where we are right now. So, and I understand the planes are a little bit more expensive, a lot more expensive. So I am willing to give you some leeway on that. But I think if the course of action needs to be that these planes need to be trucked out somewhere, the court's not going to grant I think that's too much of an imposition. Again, going back to the fact that this order, the final order has been in place since November of last year. And and again, on the issue of the removal of privileges, again, I haven't seen anything concrete that they've actually done that, although I do understand that the request to do the type of repairs that your planes need has to go through several processes, which would involve using the parking lot, which, based on your testimony, would be disruptive. It's a parking lot, not a repair shop. So the wise course of action on this is for you to start taking steps to have these 10 planes trucked to wherever they need to be moved. Now, what I am willing to do in reference to that, I don't know if I think I heard a time estimate, but this is a major undertaking for 10 planes. And the court is going to reserve making a final deadline to have these planes impounded right now. And I think in order to see where you are in reference to your efforts to either get them fixed the way they are right now, which you cannot do in 3 months, but I'm not giving you that kind of time. So you need to decide how and again, I think the only option you have is to have them trucked out, but I want to hear where you are in this process to remove the planes. Then I'm thinking the 21st or the 28th, and I'll defer to council to see when they want to reconvene.
For a status conference, Judge, I'm available on either day.
Mr. Gwynn?
Yes, Judge. The 28th is better for me, but either date will work.
Well, let's do the 21st. I mean, that's 2 weeks. That's plenty of time to start the process on his decision to see how he's going to get this out. And I'll just let you know, Mr. Wynn, that I know this puts you in the blind, and you were not the attorney back in November and all that. But again, that judgment, became final a long time ago. So these are steps that should have been contemplated months ago. And I think the court has been very lenient and imposing on the city this added time because of the urgency that they've had to reclaim that property. And what we'll end up doing at the next status hearing, did we decide the 21st?
Yes, Your Honor. You said
The court we'll put a deadline for the removal of the planes at that point in time, and then subject to the same consequences.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, you mean that by the 21st, you want to hear the status and then you'll set a time for the planes to be moved, or you want the planes moved by the 21st? I just want to make sure.
I'll, based on where you are, I'll give you
Right.
time.
Yes, sir.
Again, I'm trying to be very conscientious that the court's decisions don't create waste. But at the same time, I'm not seeing some of the claims you all are making. Well, the plaintiff has been making in this claim that the city has somehow been a hindrance to that. And the court's ruling almost 2 months ago, it was pretty clear that the order of eviction became final. So, I mean, these are steps that should have been done with a lot of urgency on the part of the plaintiff. And one of the things that kept coming up was that the city was preventing your client from removing these items. And aside from his testimony, I haven't seen anything concrete that tells me that. So so when we reconvene on the 21st, if there's any problems with the plane removals, concrete that the city has somehow claimed to have been, I want to see that. I don't want to hear a claim. I heard testimony from both sides today, and one side says we're not doing anything wrong, and your side saying, well, they're preventing us. I'm not seeing that, and this is your burden, really, your client's burden, Mr. Nguyen, at this point. So the court's made its ruling. I apologize for being abrupt, but I do have another case in another court that I have to attend to. Have a
May
pleasure
we submit an order for you, Your Honor?
here all day.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can
Thank
I,
you,
can I approach the court, Your Honor?
No, you may not.
Thank you.
May we be excused.
Everyone's excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.